All right, welcome everybody into another edition of the Hockey Night on Broad Flyers pregame show. Tonight, the Philadelphia Flyers take on the Winnipeg Jets as they meet up for the first time this season. And it's hard to believe they haven't played at all this season, but they played in Winnipeg tonight as they meet up for the first time this season at Winnipeg, Manitoba. And a pleasure, good evening, everybody. I'm your host, James Scorza, here for the next 15 minutes or so. As for the Flyers, looking to try to get back on a positive note after a disappointing game on Thursday night up in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, when the Flyers had a really good lead in the game, but unfortunately, it was the Penguins getting the most out of it in this big portion. So they're trying to get back on track here tonight against the Winnipeg Jets, like I mentioned, here in Winnipeg, Manitoba. As we check out, before we go into the recap of the previous game, it was the first game was a good one for the Flyers, the first of a back-to-back, first of a home-and-home on Tuesday night. But unfortunately, the Flyers on the very portion of the night will get an early goal early in the game by the Flyers, and it only took just 2 minutes exactly into the game to give the Flyers a 1-0 lead. And it was Noah Cates who had a wrister shot on the first goal, or the second goal on Tuesday night against the Penguins, and he got the first goal of the game, just like I mentioned, 2 minutes exactly into the game to give the Flyers an early 1-0 lead. But it will stay that way in the first period as the Flyers were continuing to outshot the Penguins, as the shot advantage was a big portion of the Flyers, that obviously the Penguins did not get their first shot of the game until the later parts of the first period. And it was right then and there that the Flyers were keeping everything at arm's length. And the positive about that too, about the first period, that was only the best positive of the game, it was Sam Ersson playing spectacular in the first period, and would stay that way after 20 minutes in the books. Later on in the second period, the Flyers got the advantage to make it a 2-0 lead, and they will find it with Owen Tippett on a nice feed there as he beat Alex Nedeljkovic to give the Flyers a 2-0 lead. Later on in the second period, the Flyers looking to try to get back on track once again, and it was Andrei Kuzmenko trying to make it 3-0 on a pass from Matvei Michkov. But it was right now, but it was at the point, it was a 3-0 lead, but it was disallowed due to, I don't know why it was disallowed, but I think the reason why, it was a high stick on the play. And obviously the biggest thing about that too was that didn't change the momentum of the game, but the difference was the biggest thing that took out the momentum of the game was later on, a few minutes later, when Garnett Hathaway got taken out of the game by a Penguins forward and only accessing a minor penalty out of it. But then the Flyers got a chance to make it it was a two goals scored by the Penguins in a matter of 30 seconds or so by Erik Karlsson, and one by Philip Tomasino to make it the 3-2 lead. But the Flyers, once again, like I mentioned, due to that minor penalty of the high stick, was not called, only for a minor league penalty, or only a minor penalty out of it. And John Tortorella was not happy about that, but the Flyers would get a response on the power play as they got their 2-goal lead back to make it a 4-2 lead, and had 3 points on the night to make it a 3-2 lead. But the Penguins came back again, and it was Erik Karlsson once again who got credit for the second goal of the night, and making a 4-3 lead for the Flyers, and would stay that way towards the end of the second period. And as we go into the third, and it was the Flyers looking to try to get back on track, but it was Evgeny Malkin, the big player that the Flyers have had demons with going back to the last handful of years or so, had tied the score at 4-4 and would stay that way at the end of regulation, and will go into overtime. As it set into overtime for the Flyers, it was Evgeny Malkin once again. The Flyers had some opportunities, but instead it was Malkin beating Sam Ersson short side and giving the Penguins the 2 points after the Flyers had an opportunity to make it 2 points out of it. Instead, it was the Flyers only getting 1 point out of it, and will make it a 5-4 victory for the Penguins, and stay that way as we go into tonight's game here against the Winnipeg Jets. And that was a final of 5-4 up in the keys in the Steel City and the Battle of Pennsylvania. As we check out the recap of the previous game, let's get into our key matchups of this game here tonight. For the Flyers, it is something that I had to say that usually majority of the games that somehow in some way when time calls for it. The good thing about it too, they have not lost many games back-to-back in some time now. So I guess the one thing you have to keep a close eye on tonight, Winnipeg, who is coming into this game tonight after winning 12 straight as of Thursday night, but they lost the game to the Nashville Predators. They're trying to get back on track here tonight, so I'm expecting Winnipeg to have a chip on their shoulder to see what they have in store. But the good news is the Flyers could probably get back on track here tonight, but I would expect the same here tonight. If they don't get back on track, they could probably get back on track on Tuesday night when they take on the Calgary Flames, and that's the first of a couple Canadian Western teams coming into Philadelphia. You have the Flames coming in on Tuesday, and you also got the Jets coming in on Thursday. As for the Jets is concerned, the one thing I was really happy about to see is that sometimes, even though Winnipeg's a great team, they are still probably one of the best teams in the NHL right now. They are tied with the Capitals they're top for the President's Trophy with the Washington Capitals, which, by the way, not a bad thing to have, especially if Winnipeg is trying to get back on track here. So for me, the key matchup in this game here tonight is that hopefully this will give them a little bit of momentum into this game, coming into the game after a disappointing game that was in the bag for the Flyers on Thursday night. It was a 5-4 victory that the Flyers had, that the opportunity that was there, but unfortunately it was just the Penguins just got in the way. And the one thing that you could take out of it too is that if the Penguins or if you can learn something from the Penguins, maybe get a little bit of a chip on their shoulder here tonight, like Winnipeg might be coming into this game here tonight against the Flyers. But the difference is with Winnipeg, they're a really good team. They're, like I said, first place in the Central Conference and also first place in the Western Conference here tonight. The difference is that Winnipeg is a very good team, and I expect more of the same here tonight, and hopefully a better outcome for the guys in orange and black against the Winnipeg Jets. All right, let's check out who's trending up and who's trending down on this night. This one is a real positive that I like to take out of it too. Maybe this will be a game to see what a couple of the newcomers have in store for this game, like Jacob Pelletier or maybe Andrei Kuzmenko, who had a goal last Saturday against the Edmonton Oilers on that Saturday afternoon on the 22nd of February. For me, I would like to see what Andrei Kuzmenko has in store. He's been playing well. He's been playing very solid. I think the one thing I was really happy to see in this game is that I really expected here more of the same here tonight for Andrei Kuzmenko. Matvei Michkov has played very well. Owen Tippett looked like he's getting back on track here tonight as well. So I expect that more of the same here tonight for the Flyers' sake. And for who's trending down, well, this is going to be a little bit difficult, but this was not a good performance by Sam Ersson. it was a good 20 minutes in the books, like I mentioned in the highlight reel, that the Flyers had. But the difference is you have to still have to finish games when it matters the most. And apparently what the time calls for it as well, the Flyers have to do is they have to really keep everybody in check. Obviously, Winnipeg, like I mentioned, a very good team. You have to do whatever you can to keep sure. You have to make sure you have to do whatever you can to keep everybody at arm's length. I would be sure it will be Ivan Fedotov, and it will be Ivan. I would say maybe Fedotov will get the nod here tonight, but I would not be sure though. Sometimes you'll think about Sam Ersson will be back in goal for this game tonight, but for more precisely than anything like that, I do believe that the one thing that the Flyers need to do is try to figure out what their goaltender situation is. And if it is Sam Ersson, once again, I will be sure it will be Sam Ersson in goal for the Flyers here tonight, and I would expect it will be more the same for the Jets' sake as well. But for who's trending down, you have to do a better performance here, especially against good teams that are really good. Calgary's not that good, but like I mentioned, Winnipeg, one of the top teams in the conference. It's one of those things that you have to keep a close eye on more than anything like that along the way too. All right, let's check out our injuries and scratches for this game here tonight for The Flyers, basically the same injuries as it was on Thursday night and also on Tuesday night, actually, too, for the Penguins and the Flyers. So it's Alexei Kolosov once again, Eric Johnson, and also missing Nick Delorier for another game. But I'm pretty sure Nick Delorier, Eric Johnson is a healthy scratch, and I expect Nick Delorier is going to be because I'm missing some time due to that. I think he's on long-term IR, if I'm not mistaken. I think that's probably why he's missed so many games this year. So, like I said, for the injury report, like I mentioned, it is Alexei Kolosov, who is just the emergency goaltender, depending on what Urson or maybe Fedotov, who's in goal tonight, depending on, like, if one of them get hurt, they probably have to put Kolosov in for that time being, not as a in goal, but had to, like, replace them depending on if there's any injuries with both of them, obviously. Either one of them, rather. I can understand why they would do that. But like I said, Eric Johnson again out tonight and Nick Delorier out tonight for the Flyers, as that's basically the injury report for the Flyers. So it's basically the same old thing that they had the last couple times here. So I expect more of the same here tonight. But the positive about it, too, is that maybe – and also I forgot, too, Garnet Hathaway is going to miss this game tonight, too. Speaking of Garnet Hathaway missing the game after dealing with that hit that he got hit on Thursday night. So he's going to miss tonight's game along the way as well. So let's get into our starting goaltender matchup for this game between the Flyers and the Jets here tonight. So in goal tonight for the Flyers, it will be Sam Urson back in goal once again for the Orange and Black. I expect him to be back at it again here tonight here in Winnipeg. His record this season is basically the same record as it was on Thursday night, but it was 18-20. He's 18-10-4 this season. That has a goals against average of 2.82 on the season. And for the Jets, it would be possibility of Eric Comrie being in goal tonight for the Winnipeg Jets. No Connor Hellebuck tonight. I would expect. I would have really thought Hellebuck would be in goal here tonight for the Flyers. But the difference is it will be Eric Comrie in goal for the Jets. And in goal tonight for the Flyers, it will be Urson. So Urson in goal for the Flyers and Comrie in goal for Winnipeg. All right, and for my final predictions in this game here tonight, this is probably hard for me to talk about, but I do see – the difference is with the Flyers, I love to see them win here tonight. I like to see them play very, very well. Unfortunately, I got the Winnipeg Jets winning this game here tonight. I hate to say it. I really thought this team could bounce back depending on what the situation is. If their backup goaltender for the Jets is playing tonight, I expect to be more the same, but Winnipeg's just way, way too good. They're just really a good team. They're really run very well by a very good GM up there and president up there. If you don't know who I'm talking about, back in my previous shows, I used to rave about Kevin Sheladeoff, who was a great GM for the Chicago Wolves of the American Hockey League, and he's done a great job up there. I got to give him credit on that. And the one thing I was really happy to see, too, is that the one thing I was really intrigued about is that, Winnipeg's a good team, but they could be a very good team coming forward in the postseason. But usually, like I thought, it's not about who's the best team; it's about who's the hottest team, obviously. But I don't think anybody could stop Winnipeg right now. Nashville got lucky on Thursday night, but like I said, Winnipeg's just a really good team. I really think that they're a very, very good team. They're very organized. I really believe Rick Bowness has done an admirable job with that team over there. Not Rick Bowness. I forget who the coach is, and I don't know who the coach is, but I think it still is Rick Bowness. Going to admit, but if anybody doesn't, if I can correct myself again, if I see the Jets, because they'll be back at it in South Philadelphia on Thursday night on the 6th. So this will be kind of like a semi-home and home after. They'll be playing here in Winnipeg here tonight, and they'll be back at it again on Thursday night against the Jets, this time at Wells Fargo Center in South Philadelphia. All right, that's going to wrap up this portion of the Hockey Night on Board Flyers pregame show. But remember to stay tuned after the game for the Third Line Joint Flyers postgame show. I would be sure it would be Pat Bernard, Joey Marks, or Pavel will got you covered on this very important night. I will be back again for this portion of the pregame show back on Tuesday night when the Flyers take on Calgary. So it will be the first time we'll see Joe Farabee and Morgan Frost come back to Philadelphia ever since getting traded to Calgary in exchange for Andrei Kuzmenko and Jacob Peltier. But that will be a 6:30 puck drop. 6:30 pregame show and a 7 o'clock puck drop right here on Hardcore Sports Network. And I will be sure I'll probably be back for the postgame show that night on our sister station, Stream Punk Entertainment. All right, that's going to do it for here tonight. I want to thank everybody who chimed in and everybody that made this work here. Enjoy the game, everybody. And this has been the Hockey Night on Board Flyers pregame show. And I'm your host, James Scorza, saying thanks for watching. And until then, we will see you back here for the postgame show on Stream Punk Entertainment. But until then, have a good night, everybody. And we'll see you guys next time.